How's it going, everybody? Ask me anything about politics. My background is coming. It is on the way. There we go. Ask me anything about politics, everybody. If you got questions about politics, let me know in the chat. I am here and I am available for answering all of your questions about politics. I got a new camera set up on TikTok, so let me know how I'm coming in. If it doesn't look good, let me know, because I'll go back to my old camera if this camera does not work. But yeah, if you got any questions about politics, let me know in the chat. I know that politics can be really intimidating if you don't know anything about it, and it can be really scary to try to learn things about it. What's up, Tyro? Good to see you again. Yeah, so there's no such thing as a dumb question. Ask me anything that you like. I am here for all of your good faith questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question. I do not believe in making people feel stupid or embarrassed or silly for not knowing things. So the question you can ask me can be as simple as you want. It can be as complicated as you want. There's no judgments. There's no debating. You don't got to worry about, if I ask this, he's going to think I'm some sort of liberal cuck libtard, or if I ask this, he's going to think I'm some sort of MAGA lunatic. There's no judgments here, only good faith answers to all of your good faith questions. I know that politics can be really intimidating when you don't know anything about it, and I definitely did not know about politics at a certain point in my life, and I was really nervous about asking people questions because I was worried that people were going to think that I was dumb or uneducated, and so I do not make people feel that way myself. Let's see here. And if you're watching on TikTok, let me know how I'm coming through because I'm trying a new camera setup. Over on Twitch, we got MC Luke says, "Hi, could you explain why you call the war in Iraq an operation with all the signs of a war, but you call the operation in Ukraine with all the signs of an operation a war?" I don't know what the semantic difference is that governments use between operations and wars. I think that America has been guilty of this many times in the past, where they have not wanted to go through all of these steps to actually declaring war on somebody, or they've wanted to flex their muscles militarily, and so they've created new definitions for things. And similarly, during the Bush administration, they called torture enhanced interrogation techniques and things like that. What's up, Kathleen? Good to see you again. So yeah, I think that I think that they were all wars. I think that what's going on in Ukraine is a war. I mean, it's an invasion by a hostile actor. It's not like, Ukraine and Russia were like, we're mad at each other, and now we're going to war. It was like Russia was like, we want Ukraine, and Ukraine was like, no, and now they're fighting. But yeah, similarly, America has gotten into a lot of wars that we have called, special military operations and things like that. Malik Hilt says, "Do you lean to either side?" Yes, I am a lefty. And you can call me a progressive, you can call me a Democrat, you can call me a socialist. I don't really care what label you use, but I definitely lean towards the left side of the spectrum. Tyro says, "Do you think they will frame AOC?" I think it's very likely that if Kash Patel gets the FBI director job, if he gets confirmed, then they will start a bunch of frivolous investigations into AOC and potentially throw some sham charges onto her. Let's see here. Mick Locke says, "Do you know anything about the Donbass and Minsk agreements?" I do not, unfortunately. Where foreign politics and global affairs are concerned, I know like that much, but I'm definitely not an expert the way that I am in American politics. Let's see here. Malik Hilt says, "Is it true Trump is trying to end the Equality Employment Act?" Yes, it is true. Let's see here. Trip Sitter says, "What's your opinion on masks and people who wear them today?" If people want to wear masks, they should be able to wear masks. I think that one of the silver linings of the COVID pandemic, and, it's a real thin silver lining because obviously that was a whole fucking thing. It was terrible and millions of people died. But it kind of normalized wearing masks in the States, where it was normalized in places like Japan and China, where they had a lot more experience with airborne infectious diseases. Where people are immunocompromised, I think that they should 100% not be shunned and should be legally allowed to continue to wear masks. I still wear a mask, especially if I'm in a crowded place like a movie theater or flying on an airplane and stuff like that. Let's see here. Tyro Pillar says, as long as the mask isn't pointy and with eye holes. Yeah, the white masks that look more like hoods, I would say like those are an issue. Like I'm not on board with those. Bonnie Andrews says Trump is not following the rule of law. That is accurate. Chica Frax says, what's your political opinion? I mean, my main political opinion, like the big one, is that Republicans are worse than people think and Democrats are better than people think. Trip Sitter says, that was a really good one. A really good what? Oh, yeah, that wasn't me. That was one of my YouTube watchers. Eric says, when will you stop voting? Never. Hanoda Pimp says, crazy fact, if you don't like Trump, you won't agree with anything he does. That's not true. You know, what you're saying is that people that don't like Trump are biased against him, but we're not. We are just accurately describing all of the shitty things that he does and the shitty person that he is. Malik Hilt says, kind of funny how your TikTok chat and Twitch chat are two completely different vibes. Yeah, you know, people have a little bit more room to say things, and it has to be much more like truncated here on TikTok. Also, I have way more people watching on TikTok always. The Meanderer 37 says, what is the difference between communism and true communism? This is the first time I'm hearing that as a semantic difference. Aspen SC says, this is a coup. Yes, 100%. Gus Gus Goo says, you just proved her right by being so arrogant. Okay. I don't mind being called arrogant. I'm not, but I don't mind being called arrogant because it's one of the ways that people try to gaslight the left into thinking that there's something wrong with them telling the truth. User Whole Bunch of Numbers says, best president ever. I hope you're being sarcastic. Angry Long Island Vet said, who do you want to run for president in 2028? Sincerely, Angry Long Island Vet, I'm not thinking about 2028. I'm trying to get people to vote now for the 2026 midterms, and I'm trying to get them to vote in the special elections that are coming up. Hanoda Pimp says, what's wrong with putting America first and exposing where our tax dollars are going? None of those things are bad, Hanoda Pimp, but the problem is that Republicans aren't doing that, and Elon Musk and Donald Trump aren't doing that. First of all, America First, you should all know for the historical context, was the slogan of the American Nazi Party during World War II. So that's just like an interesting thing to think about, the fact that Trump co-opted that phrase. It's just, you know, it's interesting, I think. It's one of many dots that point to fascism, Hitler shit, you know, Mussolini shit, etc. That's number one. Number two is where our tax dollars is being spent is not what Elon Musk and the Doge Commission is doing. What Elon Musk and the Doge Commission are doing are shutting down organizations that help the 99%, that help the little guy, and closing organizations that have been investigating him. There's also the added benefit of, creating conspiracy theories because he has this massive platform. So everything that he says, people on X will retweet it, and then that becomes, gospel. So people have the idea that he's doing something that he's not doing, but it is illegal. It is hurting people. It is not uncovering government waste. It is not exposing where our tax dollars are spent. It is literally a grift. It is hurting the 99% for the benefit of the top 1%, for the billionaire class. Liberal Tier says Doge is finding money being laundered into political bank accounts. That is inaccurate misinformation, so you're out of here. All right. The Meanderers 37 says, can you explain tariffs loud enough for the people in the back? Yeah, absolutely. Tariffs are a tax that America puts onto anybody importing goods from another country. So if Best Buy wants to import a computer from China, that is an additional tax that Best Buy then has to pay that they will pass on to the consumer so that they can maintain their record profits and shit like that. Really says, is it true that Wii U is a waste of time? I don't know what Wii U is. Duck says, if there was evidence of all this fraud, why wouldn't they be arresting people? I don't know exactly what you're referring to, Duck, because there's the fraud of Elon Musk is saying that he's uncovering, in which case, why aren't they arresting people? And it's because he's lying about finding fraud. But if you're saying, why isn't anybody arresting Elon Musk for all the illegal things that he's doing? It's because the government is currently in charge, is being run by Republicans. And Republicans like what Elon Musk is doing, even though it is illegal. Let's see here. Mr. Louis Casino says, thoughts on Tulsi Gabbard? She's one of the most sus politicians I've ever seen in my entire life. She, has gone against our intelligence agency in calling out violent dictators for like, killing their own citizens and shit like that. It's weird to go to bat for the bad guy in like Eastern European dictatorships and stuff like that, and that's what Tulsi Gabbard has done. She's also got some very sketchy ties to Russia. So yeah, the fact that she got confirmed for head of national intelligence, it's a fucking nightmare, and I worry for the health and safety of my fellow American citizens. Big Dog 13 says, "Can I ask you a question? What is going to happen to America without my Mexican immigrant?" I don't think you should be able to own a Mexican immigrant, my guy. Mabatao says, "How is U.S. cool with Russia now? Because Trump, Elon Musk, and the Republican Party are in league with authoritarian dictators like Vladimir Putin. They like the fact that he is reestablishing the norms of the global order, where it's okay for more powerful countries to invade and take over less powerful countries. That they want that. They want to tear up agreements and alliances so that the world is much more of a winner take all, only the strong survive, I drink your milkshake kind of a world, whereas before we were working towards global peace and making sure that we had arrangements where we had the Iran nuclear deal and the Paris climate deal and NATO, and we had naturalization with Cuba and stuff like that. And the Republican Party and shitty people like Vladimir Putin recognize that when the world has more chaos and violence and separation, then it is easier to grift and con and do whatever the fuck you want without any consequences to your actions. Let's see here. Okay, Bambi, what is your takes on some of the government spending that has been found out by Doge? Bambi, I've said this 1,000 times. I will say it 1,000 more times. Doge is not uncovering any government corruption. They are lying about what they are finding. They have been proven to have been making shit up multiple times already. All they are doing is shutting down programs that help people and shutting down programs that have been investigating Elon Musk. So just like a couple of things to keep in mind when you guys are looking at what Doge is doing. They have fired the people in charge of fulfilling Freedom of Information Act requests. So they are keeping people from knowing what the government is actually doing because they have fired the people who you would submit that request to. There are women who are being turned away from domestic abuse shelters because the agencies that usually fund those shelters have no money to actually help these women out. So we are putting women in dangerous situations, forcing them to go back to their abusers because they can't go to the shelters because they've been defunded. They just have fired more FAA employees, because all these planes that are crashing right now, what we really needed was fewer air traffic controllers. So yeah, that's what Doge is doing. They are hurting people. They are taking away programs that help people so that they can hurt them and cause chaos and violence and desperation. And the thing is, the poorer that we are, the more powerful the billionaires are. Because, you got a guy like Elon Musk who's got like billions and billions of dollars. And so now everybody who is like, I need out of this, poverty and desperation, they're going to go to him and go, I will do whatever the fuck you want, man. Like any, you can fucking come anywhere, my man. Like, I don't give a shit. And that's the world that they want to live in, and it's not just sex things, like the joke I just made, but it's, I will work in whatever shitty conditions. I will take whatever job with whatever fucking sexual abuser is my boss. I will work 90 hours a week to get out of this situation here. So yeah, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Me123 says, no, we need better air traffic controllers, not a bunch of them that got a free 20 points on the test. That's not a real thing that happened. Me123. People that say that the DEI hires are less qualified than the white hires is pretty, nakedly racist to just be like, well, you're black and you have this job. I guess that means you got here on DEI. And historically, if you look at the data, DEI doesn't keep unqualified people of color, and advancing them along the ranks. What it does is it makes sure that people of color who are more qualified than mediocre white people actually get the jobs that they deserve. Indio Mojo says Jared Berenstein is a liar. He's not a liar. He's actually a really good friend of mine. I like him a lot. Cheese says, why wouldn't you want the most qualified? Yeah, DEI makes sure that we get the most qualified. If you look at the history of hiring in this country, it is a lot of elevating of shitty and mediocre white people over better people of color and women. DEI tries to reverse that trend. Jess DK says, who are the DEI hired with the plane crashes? That's an excellent question, Jess DK. They were calling this DEI before they even fucking knew who the pilot was and shit like that. So yeah, you can miss me with that nonsense. Neo Frill says, I have a feeling the U.S. hegemony is over and I'm scared for the future and China will humiliate us. I think all of those fears are completely valid, but the thing is, you shouldn't just be afraid. You should do something. You know, these rich assholes want us to feel like they have completely taken over the globe, but there are way more of us than there are of them. So we have power, we have agency here, and we can do the work to try to take our country back from these fucking assholes who got their fucking, boots on our fucking neck, are forcing us to live through this cost of living crisis and paying us less and less and poisoning our air and our water and our fucking food. They just fired a bunch of FDA inspectors, so now you can't be sure if your food is going to be fucking salmonella free anymore. You know what I mean? Seamus says, do you think he succeeds in eliminating term limits? That's an open question. Like, I know that that's what he wants. I know that's what he's going to try to do, but whether or not the other Republicans in government or the Supreme Court or the midterm elections are able to stop him is an open question. So I would not say that he is definitely going to be successful or definitely going to be not successful. I would say if you don't want him to be successful, then do the work. Do the work. Do political activism, Let's see here. Let's win the midterms. Let's win the fucking special elections that are coming up. All right. If you just spam the comments with like Trump shit, then I'm going to block you. I don't care if you have a different opinion than me, but just actually ask a question, be part of the conversation. Elizabeth Kearns says, where do our mediocre people go? This is very ableist. There are other jobs for mediocre people, Mr. P says, let's go Trump. Again, that's a block. I don't care if you have different opinions than me. Just ask a question. Let's see here. Steve said, did you support Elon's Twitter files? I don't know what you mean by support Elon's Twitter files. I read them, and the discourse around them is complete and utter bullshit. It was not the Democrats forcing Twitter to do censorship. It was like, hey, this is misinformation and it's hurting people. Maybe you should abide by your own terms of service and get rid of it. But there was no power of the government to wield at that point because Biden wasn't even in office at the time. Kevin Holland says, will the Republican Party recover from MAGA? I honestly don't think so. Tiger says, are they going to cut our Social Security? Absolutely. They have the means and they want to, so they're probably going to. Giannis says, do you know why Elise Stefanik's staying in New York? Bad news. I actually don't know about that. Sorry about that. The Meanderer 37 says, can you please explain how the attack on immigrants is helping the industrial prison complex? Sure. So in order to get rid of all of the immigrants that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are saying that they're going to deport, which, by the way, I should say that they are not going only after criminals. They are going after anybody that they want to accuse of being an illegal immigrant. They have already rounded up citizens. They have already rounded up Native Americans. They have rounded up at least one veteran. So, here's the thing, guys. If you think that being a legal citizen, or even if you are like, 10th generation or whatever, if they don't like you, they're going to deport you. Like, that's the way that authoritarian governments work. And also, let me know how my video's coming through. I'm trying a new video setup, and I worry that it's glitching or being slow or something. So that's number one. Number two is the infrastructure in order to do that kind of mass deportations. It doesn't exist right now. And so they are working with private contractors to set up like internment camps that they're going to pay for with tax dollars. But they're not going to be like, not-for-profit prison complexes. They're going to be for prison complexes. So they are going to be, for the benefit of the CEO of that corporation. So, they're going to be shitty conditions that they overcharge the taxpayers for, and all that extra money is going to go into the pocket of the CEO of private prison, shitty prison internment camp LLC. It's a fucking grift, man. It's all a fucking grift. It is all stealing our money and giving it to fucking rich assholes. Yeah, I think it's probably pretty glitchy, so I need to, I need to go back to my old video setup, I think. Johnny DZZ says, why are Democrats so mad at Elon, but not mad at stuff like sending money for trans studies overseas? Johnny, I appreciate you asking a question. The thing you just said is inaccurate. I know that the Doge Commission and Elon Musk have said that is what they're doing, but that is not what they're doing. That is not a real thing that they found. The waste that they are finding in government is literally just programs that help people in the middle class and below. They're shutting down agencies that are investigating Elon Musk and his billionaire buddies. It is corruption, it is grift, and that is fully there's no bones about it, my man. So I would just suggest getting your news from a different source, because what you just said was very inaccurate. Alrighty, says MZ Kiao says these MAGA people are so gullible. Here, listen, man. Republicans don't have a monopoly on being tricked by things. There are 8 million Democrats who did not vote in 2024 who did vote in 2020. Those people got tricked into thinking it was better to not vote than to vote. And insert your reason why they got tricked. They were tricked into thinking both parties are the same. They got tricked into thinking nothing ever gets done. They got tricked into thinking that Trump would be better for Gaza, or that Trump would, raise the price, lower the price of groceries or shit like that. There's a reason those votes didn't, those people just stayed on the couch, and they got tricked into thinking that that was the move. Let's see here. Crispy 2025 says Dan Goldman has 30 million in offshore accounts. I don't know who that is. Airbnb Superhost says, I love what you and Don Lemon are doing. I heard that guy's a jerk, so don't let me in with him, but I actually don't even know what he's doing. Let's see here. Donna Miranda Collins says they're tricked because they didn't think critically. That is one way of looking at it. Let's see here. Christopher Price says, please be careful, sir. Chancellor Musk might be watching. It's fine. I'm pretty low down the list. I've only got like 140K followers on TikTok. So, if they eventually get to me, and they fucking throw me in the gulag, at least I will know that I died with my mouth open, as opposed to these fucking, people who are already bending the knee because they're so fucking terrified of what this authoritarian government is going to do, I don't give a shit, man. Brian Damage, what do you think of the latest video on my feed? I don't know what the latest video was on your feed. Let's see here. You heard who is a jerk? Don Lemon. I heard Don Lemon is a jerk. Don't quote me on that though. I just heard through the grapevine. Jess Yun says Elon stole the election. New data was just presented last week. 22% more Republicans voted than were registered. I haven't seen that data, Jesse Yun. I'm skeptical of it though. There's a lot of hope casting propaganda that you see on social media that you have to be really skeptical of, because what they want to do is they want to lull us into inactivity. And what are the things that make us inactive? Feeling hopeless, like the game is already over, or feeling like the work is already working and so you don't have to do anything. I just saw a video today that was like, students walking out on a Republican speaker during their commencement address. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is really interesting. I'm glad that the resistance is happening. And then I remembered what time of year it was. And I was like, wait a minute, there's no graduation ceremonies happening right now. And then I checked the data and it was like Governor Youngkin in 2024. So that video was, I don't know if that was the intention, but what was happening with that video was it was creating in me a false sense that the world was like, rising up against, Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And they are, there are protests happening all over the place, but don't let that lull you into a sense of security. Don't let that make you feel like the game is already over. The same way that you might see some news report that says that there's new evidence that Elon Musk and Donald Trump hacked election machines and stuff like that, until it's being widely reported on mass media and legacy media, we have to assume that it's not accurate. And also, it has to reach like critical mass before people get so pissed off about it that the Republicans and the right-leaning Supreme Court would even fucking do something about it. You know what I mean? Live Responsibly says, so if we questioned 2020 election, we were solved, but it's okay to question 2024 election. What do you mean by solved, Live Responsibly? I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see here. Jim S. Grady says, what makes you think the fraud, waste, and abuse uncovered by Musk is false? Because he's already admitted that it was false. There was a reporter that called him out for the condoms for Hamas story as being bullshit. And he said, yeah, I'm not going to say accurate things all the time, and we know that he's full of shit. Like, he lies like that all the time. The fucking... The salute that he did during the inauguration, the fact that he's doing like dog whistles for his, Schnazi supporters, like the 88 words and the 14 words or whatever, the fact that he's endorsing the closest thing to the contemporary Nazi party in Germany, the AfD party, I think it's called, all of this shit. He's full of, and he's lying about it, like he's saying, oh no, that's not that. I'm just throwing my heart out to you and stuff like that. Let's see here. Lulu says 2024 was interfered heavily by the Russian government and the Chinese government. I mean, I believe that, definitely, but, I don't know if enough people recognize that in order for it to make a difference at this point. And stomping our defeat and going, it wasn't fair is not going to change what happens in the special elections coming up, and it's not going to change what happens in the midterms in 2026. Eye on the prize, guys. C. Quinn says, do you think Trump will go for a third term? Absolutely 100%. Whether the Congress and Supreme Court will let him get away with it, whether we run the table during the midterms and we're able to stop him is anybody's guess. But really, he does want to. Republicans want him to. End of story. We just have to make sure they don't get away with it. Let's see here. John Peters says, what do you think of the Holocaust? It was real and lots of people died, John Peters. I really hope that you're not here doing Holocaust denialism on my fucking live. Matt MCA says, what do you think about how the USA is treating Canada? It's bad. It is Donald Trump throwing our allies to the wind and telling them to fuck off because they want to have a global order similar to pre-World War II, where it's every man for themselves. David Desire says, hopefully Vance takes over in 4 years and continues the greatness. No, he's as big a piece of shit as the rest of them, man. Let's see here. Diego Vargas says, why is TYT now hanging out with Charlie Kirk? Who's TYT? I don't know. I mean, anybody who hangs out with Charlie Kirk is fucking, a big old piece of shit. Chris says, can't Elon get arrested? No security clearances. He can, but the people who are in charge of doing the arresting are, being ruled over by the Republican Party, and they don't want him to be arrested. They like what he is doing. They want to add legitimacy to him and the Trump administration, so they're not going to throw any legal consequences on them. The judicial system is standing up to him where they can, but, we got to be open-minded. We got to be clear-eyed about this, guys. Like, the Republican Party is never going to force any consequences onto Trump and Musk because they like what they're doing. So even though it's illegal, they're like, hey, wait, they're turning a blind eye. They have completely given up the job of what Congress is supposed to do and make sure that money is allocated to the agencies that they're supposed to go to. And instead, they're just like going to Elon's pocket right now. Quentin says, thoughts on the U.S. falling behind China in many metrics like education, energy creation, etc. I mean, this is all the consequence of Republican governance. They defund education so that they can have tax cuts for their billionaire friends. They defund, technological research so that they can give tax cuts to their fucking rich friends. They do tariffs to cut us off from the rest of the world, which cuts us off from valuable resources and technological advancements so that other authoritarian nations can fucking lap us in technology. It's short-sighted, dumb, for the purpose of the advancement of a select few to and sacrificing the rest of us. They are culling us and sending us to the slaughter so that they can feast on the fatted calves. Let's see here. Matt, was Bernie the last hope at avoiding the inevitable fascist end of capitalism? Absolutely not. Bernie was not the last hope. We still have lots of hope. There is still lots of hope going forward. Because again, remember, the billionaire class, Donald Trump, the Republican Party, and Elon Musk, they want you to think that it's game over. They want you to think that resistance is futile. So fuck those guys and do the work of stopping them. Do not accept the fact that it's game over. Fuck those guys. It is a giant middle finger to those assholes to continue fighting. Let's see here. Matt MCA says, what do you think about the peace talks in Ukraine? It's basically just Russia and America fighting over how much of Ukraine they're going to split up amongst themselves. I fear for the people of Ukraine. I think Zelensky knows exactly what the fuck is going on. They're deciding on peace terms behind his back. It's like, I don't know if you guys ever saw The Rainmaker with Matt Damon and, what the fuck, the dude from Lethal Weapon was in it, and Danny DeVito was in it. But there's a scene where the lawyer for the prosecution, played by Jon Voight, and this judge are like in cahoots together, trying to work on a settlement with Matt Damon's lawyer character. And it's like, it's a fucking route, man. It's a fucking grift. Kevin Stark says the rich are on the left. That is demonstrably untrue, Kevin Stark. 75% of all billionaire donations went to the Republican Party this past election cycle. Damien Natical says, okay, so how do I effectively fight the U.S. government? All I'm told is get involved. I'll tell you exactly, Damien. So number one, we need to make sure that people are getting correct information because a lot of people get their news off of social media, and social media is the Wild West. It is going to feed them whatever narratives help the Republican Party and hurt the Democratic Party and hurt voter turnout. So you got to make sure that people are getting the actual news, make sure that they know that the Doge Commission is full of shit, make sure that they know that the bad things that are happening in this country right now are a consequence of the cuts that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are making to the systems of government that they have already paid for. You know, the fact that airplanes are fucking fall out of the sky, that's Donald Trump. The fact that grocery prices are not going down, that's Donald Trump. The fact that we, that the weather prediction systems are going to be privatized soon, and you're not going to be able to afford whatever, weatherpro.com account is going to make sure that you know that hurricanes are coming. That's fucking Donald Trump, man. If you got a friend who can't get into a, domestic violence abuse center because their funding was cut, that's fucking Donald Trump. If you got a farmer who suddenly has $1 million fewer sales because they closed USAID, that's fucking Donald Trump. If you're worried about Ebola coming to this country because they closed down USAID and now we can't screen people for Ebola that are coming from Ebola hotspots and Marburg hotspots, that's fucking Donald Trump, man. And make sure that people understand that so that they're not thinking, they can't just blame it on whatever DEI or immigrant or Democrat they feel like pinning it on that day. So like that's number one. You got to talk to your friends, your family, your neighbors, your coworkers. Make sure that everybody you know is voting and voting for Democrats. There's also great organizations that are already doing the work. Just join them. Indivisible is the group that is sort of like, they're the group that you want to be working with now. They're the ones that specialize in fighting during the administration. If you want, younger, more progressive people in government, there's an organization called Run for Something. Volunteer for them, donate to them. And if you're just worried about like voter turnout and making sure that we get higher voter participation in key elections, the organization you want to work with is called Vote Save America. If you follow AOC on social media, she's also got some great ideas for resistance and making sure that we are, doing the work of stopping this administration. If you live in a Republican district or a Republican state, so, you got Republican senators or Republican House members, fucking be on the phone with them every fucking day. Go to their office, annoy the shit out of them, remind them that they work for you. That's the work, my man. And there's more to it. Like, there's more things that you can do. The thing is, you actually got to do it. And you can't just, like, retweet things and, make videos to put on social media. I'm an old man, so I can't, be pounding the pavement the way that I used to, but I still do my shifts. I still go canvassing when I need to, when I can. And I don't just make videos anymore because doesn't have the reach. So I'm here talking to you guys, trying to fucking motivate and organize everybody so that we can all get out there and fucking do the work, man. So yeah, that's how you do it, Damien. All right, scrolling down to the bottom. Woo, boy, we got a lot of comments today. I'm very happy that you guys are here. Jen said, Trump said day one he would work on grocery prices would go down. He lied. That is completely accurate. Mike Jokovitz says, AOC told Biden to ignore the courts. Would that make Biden a king? I don't know what you're talking about, Mickey. I gotta be honest with you. That sounds like right-wing propaganda. It sounds like bullshit. Let's see here. Angela Angel Ceruno says, why we have to be left or right extremists. You don't have to be left or right extremist. You can just be a regular ass person if you want. Like, I'm a lefty. I don't know. Some people will call me an extremist, I'm sure. But the Republican Party is the extreme party right now. It is a far-right party, whereas people want to call out Democrats for being far-left, but the Democratic Party is every kind of Democrat. It's AOC's, and it's also more, conservative Democrats, like Biden and, I'm forgetting some names here right now, but like Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, like these are all people who are pretty middle-of-the-road, mild-mannered Democrats. Diego Vargas says, did the decline of the middle class begin in the 80s with Reagan? Yeah, pretty much every big problem that we're experiencing right now started with Reagan. That was the, inciting incidents. Over on YouTube, says, if we can't police the police, how do we police Doge? It's a process. You say we can't police the police, but we do police the police, and we have policed the police, and it's had limited effectiveness because we as a culture don't have a lot of follow through. We take our foot off the gas once we get a little bit of success, and then the people with a lot of money and power, they step in and they start whittling away at all that progress. Like we worked really hard to make sure that food could be labeled organic versus non-organic. And then all these fucking food companies started lobbying the government saying, well, can we say that this is organic? Can we say that this is organic? So now that word has a lot less of a meaning than it used to. Let's see here. Cameron Hodge says, who's the leader of the Democratic Party? I don't believe we have one at the moment. And I actually don't even think that that's that big of a deal. People want to throw stones at the Democratic Party for not doing this or not doing that. I don't believe that the Democratic Party has the resources to fight the richest people on the planet who are all working together to fuck us all over. Even if we all gave all of our money to the Democratic Party, they would still not have as much money, power, and influence as Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and Vladimir Putin, who are all working together to fuck us all over. And you can probably include Saudi oil billionaires in there too, because that's where they're having their fucking Ukraine summit right now. So yeah, we have to do the work. The one resource that we have that the billionaire class does not is people, is millions and millions of people, the 99%. And if we all work together and we do the fucking work, then we can take this country back from them. Let's see here. Gray Hair Daycare Podcast says Kamala had $1 billion to use in the shortest campaign in history. Yeah, but that's still a lot less than every Republican candidate had. James Earl says our tax dollars were funding George Soros and Bill Gates. That is not true, James Earl. And also, that's not a question, so you're out of here. Let's see here. AG Podcast says if the Democrats had a message outside of identity politics, they might stand a chance. AG Podcast, the Democrats had lots of messages. I don't think I saw one ad that had anything to do with identity politics in the 2024 election. I saw a lot of identity politics on the right side. I saw, Kamala's for they, them, not you. That's fucking identity politics. All this shit that they're doing to shut down, DEI and, access to medication for trans people. That's all fucking identity politics. That doesn't do shit to help you. That doesn't lower grocery prices. That doesn't make airplane travel safer. It doesn't protect you from terrorist acts. They fired like everybody that was in charge of our nuclear arsenal, and then they realized what they did and they tried to hire him back, but they literally deleted their fucking emails, so they had no way of getting in contact with them. Like, how safe do you think that makes us, my man? Let's see here. Curtis Austin says, so Pelosi worth millions is not rich. Yeah, I didn't say that there were no rich liberals or no rich Democrats. I said there is more billionaire money on the Republican side of things. That's the kind of myopic straw man argument that makes it so that people feel like they have to fight right-wing trolls instead of actually unifying together and fighting these rich billionaire assholes who are in league with the Republican Party and Donald Trump, my man. Gene Hunter 501 says, can't the military arrest Trump and try him in military courts? They could, but the guy who's in charge of the military is a Trump sycophant right now. You can thank your Republican senators for confirming Pete Hegseth. User a whole bunch of numbers says, no freaking way there is more money on the right. No way. No, there is. There's like a lot more money. Like a lot more money. You guys have no idea how much money the billionaire class has and how in league with the Republican Party they are. Again, 75% of all billionaire donations went to Republicans and Republican Party candidates in 2024. That is outstanding. Like, it is unbelievable. You cannot fathom how much more money they have and how much more influence they have. And you don't even know where all this money is going because, again, Citizens United made it so that these billionaires can hide their donations. They can pay for bot farms to spread fake narratives on social media. They can... fucking Russia was calling in bomb threats to Democratic areas during the 2024 elections. Like, you don't know the kind of in-kind contribution that these billionaire assholes are doing to try to elect right-wing psychopaths. There is a reason why people like Democratic policies but don't want to vote for the Democratic Party. It's all fucking propaganda funded by right-wing pieces of shit who do not want you to vote or want you to vote for Republicans. They're convincing you that the Democratic Party is bad for some fucking reason, Let's see here. Matt MCA says, what is your opinion on Trump's plans for Gaza? I always knew that Trump and Netanyahu were in cahoots on ethnically cleansing Palestine, and now that he got elected, he is making good on his promise to let Netanyahu do whatever the fuck he wants to the people of Palestine. He started resuming sending them 2,000-pound bombs, and, he is openly calling for them just moving all those people out of Palestine. And when he says things like, we're going to make it the Rio de Janeiro of the Middle East, what he is saying to Netanyahu is, I'm doing all this shit for you. You got to give daddy a taste. You got to make sure that I'm allowed to build one of my shitty-ass casinos or one of my shitty golf courses over there so I can make a buck on this as well. Lowercase J says, can you explain the IRS system? Sure. We all pay taxes, and then those taxes go to paying for things that, theoretically are supposed to help everybody, like paving roads and fire departments and national security so that, terrorists can't blow us up and shit like that. Let's see here. Jim S. Grady said Biden sent 2,000-pound bombs. He did, but then he stopped sending 2,000-pound bombs. That's key. You can't resume sending 2,000 bombs if nobody stopped sending 2,000-pound bombs. Diego Vargas says, besides Bernie and Warren, has anyone else proposed banning stock buybacks and insider trading? Yeah, that is a Democratic policy platform. There is a bill supported by the Democratic Party to make that happen. There's also a bill that Pramila Jayapal just put forward to reverse Citizens United. Like the Democrats, everything that you guys want, the Democrats have a bill for it. It's just Republicans blocked it. Or they wouldn't vote for it and it wouldn't go anywhere because they insist on filibuster fucking everything, Robbie Wood says, why is the stream so laggy? I'm trying a new camera setup. I got to go back to my old one. It's just taking up too much of my RAM, I think, to try to do this higher end camera here. Let's see here. Totally Honest says, did anyone else no longer feel safe here? I don't feel safe. I'm worried about myself. I'm looking for everybody I care about, and I'm worried for my fellow citizens, my man. Gray Hair and Daycare podcast says, why didn't Biden do any of those things in his first 2 years when he had the House, the Senate, and the White House? He did so many things in his first 2 years, and he had to negotiate with Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin, who were in the pocket of big insert whatever fucking thing they were in the pocket of. Joe Manchin was in the pocket of the fossil fuel industry, so he was watering down all of the climate change regulations they were trying to do. Kristen Sinema was in the pocket of the billionaire class in the Republican Party, and that's the reason why she fought to keep the filibuster, and they both fought Supreme Court justice reform. So everything they did, they had to negotiate with the most conservative members of the Democratic Party because we had a 0-seat majority in the Senate. It was exactly 50-50. But what did we get out of that? 2 years, we got the Inflation Reduction Act, which was the largest investment in green energy in our nation's history. We got lowered healthcare costs for seniors. We got lower medication costs. We capped the cost of insulin. We capped the cost of asthma inhalers. We had we negotiated paid sick days for the rail workers union. The IRA brought inflation back down from 9% to 2.4%. We had the first bipartisan infrastructure bill in over a decade, the first bipartisan gun control legislation in over a decade, the PACT Act, which was increasing health care for veterans, the CHIPS Act, which was increasing domestic production of technology, the tech industry, and contrast that with the Trump administration. They have cut the budget for the Department of Veteran Affairs Suicide Prevention Task Force. So if you got somebody who fucking who's got PTSD and is thinking about fucking unaliving themselves, now they got nowhere to fucking turn. That should infuriate you. All 320 people I got watching here on TikTok, that's unfucking believable, man. These people risk their lives for us, for our fucking freedom, as they fucking say. And now they're fucking alone because Elon Musk decided that he'd rather have that money instead of having somebody who knows how to keep people from unaliving themselves, helping people with fucking PTSD, man. He just wanted that money himself. Y'all should be fucking infuriated, man. I hope that this is motivating you to fucking make some phone calls and do some shit. Because it pisses me off, man. All right. Diego Vargas says, is there still more centrist Democrats in the Senate like Manchin and Sinema? There are, but again, we have the power to change that. We are the ones who can control who is an elected Democrat. And that is why we go out in the primary, But here's the thing. We got to recognize that not every Democrat is going to align with us perfectly. I'm much more of a progressive, like an AOC or a Bernie Sanders, but I miss having Joe Manchin's vote in the Senate because he gave us the gavel. We wouldn't have any of these fucking loony bin Trump nominees like fucking Pete Hegseth or Tulsi Gabbard or fucking Kash Patel or Pam Bondi, who are all fucking blatantly, violating the law and just doing whatever the fuck Trump wants and throwing all of us under the fucking bus if Joe Manchin was there and we had his fucking vote and still held the Senate. I don't remember what our deficit is in the Senate, but he would have fucking helped. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we have to not be so fucking precious about our politicians. If you don't like somebody, primary them. And if you lose the primary, hold on a second, my live is restricted for some audiences. I got reported for some reason. Your live contains things that some may find uncomfortable and violates community guidelines. All right, well, I might have to cut this one short because every time my thing gets flagged for some shit, that's bullshit. That right wingers like to flag my lives because they try to silence me. So yeah, if my numbers go too far down, I might have to dip out. But we're doing really good so far, so I may be able to stick around for a little while. What the hell was I saying? Yeah, we need the votes. Yeah, you can't be precious about your politicians. So yeah, if they lose the primary, then you have to be cool with still voting for the Democrat because the Democrats are still better. Democratic politicians are still better, even if they're the more centrist ones. Let's see here. David Desire says, "But you're talking nonsense." I'm not talking nonsense. What do you think that I've said that's inaccurate? Adriana says, "Are women about to lose their right to vote via the SAVE Act?" So yes, they're not going to lose their right to vote. This is what Republicans do. This is part of voter suppression tactics. What they do is they just make it harder to vote, even though if you go by the letter of the law, they still can vote. What the SAVE Act does is it's basically a voter ID law for the nation, and it stipulates in there that your name has to be the same on all of your legal documents. So if you are a woman who got married and you changed your name, you might have a harder time voting. And maybe you won't be able to vote at all, depending on, how strict and specific the legislation actually ends up being once it gets signed into law. So yeah, even if it's not fully illegal, they're going to make it harder so that fewer people vote. Because they know that when fewer people vote, they do better. Matt MCA says, what do you think about RFK going after antidepressants? I think it's an open debate whether, RFK is evil or just an idiot. And, it's very likely that he just, fell down the fucking conspiracy theory rabbit hole of how bad antidepressants are. I personally believe that everybody who's in league with this government is there to just fucking hurt people. And so they know that by cutting off people's antidepressants, they're going to hurt a lot of people and weaken our ability to organize and fight them. The more desperate that we are, the more powerful they are, because then we have less ability to fight them. That's my personal opinion on it. It's not the only way that having RFK Jr. be the head of HHS is going to hurt lots and lots of people. Alrighty, let's see here. Noiche Gamer says, how will the German election affect geopolitics? I don't know. I mean, but polling seems to suggest that the Conservative Party, but not, notably not the far-right party, is going to win the German election. I'm definitely not an expert in geopolitics. I'm much more proficient in American politics. But yeah, it's, the fact that the AFD party is as popular as it's become is terrifying. AB says, what do you think about Joe Rogan switching from progressive to far-right MAGA? I think it's probably a couple of things. I think, there are certain people who just go fucking insane for some reason, like these people who are good progressives, just like something either switches in their brain or their motivations change. Like you got guys like Russell Brand, who used to be like a progressive hero, and then all of these sexual assault charges came out against him, and he realized that he needed cover, so he started shilling for the right. Joe Rogan, I'm not accusing him of doing anything. I'm just saying that he is an extremely rich person, and rich people do what rich people do to protect their own money and power. And so, it seems to me like he's kind of fallen down the right-wing propaganda rabbit hole. Like he just believes everything that he reads, and social media is feeding him the exact right kind of bullshit to weaponize him. And he's also got like a weird allegiance to like this red pill version of toxic masculinity that's supposedly better than being a more progressive human being who takes other people's thoughts and opinions into consideration. He's also like one of those quote-unquote comedians who's become radicalized by the idea that cancel culture is ruining comedy and shit like that. It's just, he's dumb. He's just dumb. He's a dumb fella. Senior Gray says, what you're doing this second is why people are not voting Democrat. Shaking my head. No, that's not the reason why, Senior Gray. Marcia, revenge for Biden's 2020 win and Obama's second term as president. I don't know what that's in reference to. Gregory says, Dems are diabolical. No, we're not. We're actually really nice people trying to do the Jesus shit, feed the hungry, clothe the poor, heal the sick, shit like that. Papa says Trumpers think they need to help the rich achieve their dreams. Yeah, they've been tricked, But again, they don't have a monopoly on being tricked. There are plenty of lefties who got tricked into not voting in this past election. Ape God says, yeah, you're live again today. Hey, man, what's up, Ape God? Good to see you again. Mr. Shaj says, love your content. Thank you, Mr. Shaj. I appreciate you. Let's see here. Tyro Pilar says, let's be honest, it's the brain worms. Yeah, it could be that too. Stoned like, globalized my agenda. What is the best thing about Trump? That's a real, it's real slim pickings if you're looking for good things about Trump. But the Doge Commission is suggesting getting rid of the penny, and I think that's not a bad idea. So yeah, fucking get rid of the penny. I don't give a shit. Let's see here. Scratch, why the trumpets seem to hate the truth. Some of them know what they're doing. Some of them are rich assholes who recognize that this propaganda helps them, but some of them have just been tricked. They just got conned by the right-wing propaganda pipeline. Oh no, I'm having some connection issues over on TikTok. Don't forget, I don't know what the last thing you heard was, but yeah. What was I saying? Some people just, they're so fully in the right-wing propaganda pipeline that they don't even know what's true. And, most people just don't follow the news. They get all this information off of social media. They get this information from the people in their community. And so they just don't know, And that is why it's an incumbent on us to do the work of informing and convincing people. We got to get people to vote, and we got to convince them to vote the right way. Karina B417 says, who do you see on the left running for president in 2028? Karina, I appreciate your question. I'm not thinking about 2028. I'm thinking about the midterm elections in 2026, and I'm thinking about the special elections that are coming up this year. Let's see here. Hello, how do you know your news is accurate? That is an excellent question, hello. So there are two things that I would say about that. Number one, I get my news from multiple sources. I get it from foreign sources like the BBC or the Guardian UK. I get it from centrist sources like the Associated Press. I get it from legacy media like the New York Times. And I get it from progressive media like MSNBC and Crooked Media. But also, I have recognized who the liars are. And here's how I can tell who the big liars are. There are certain things that the Republican Party lies about that I can tell just from looking with my own eyes is total and utter bullshit. Okay, so number one, climate change isn't real. Republican Party have been saying that for decades, but I can look out the window and I can see that it's a fucking 1,000 degrees hotter than it used to be. I lived in New York City for 20 years. There was substantially more snow on the ground in my first year in New York than in my last year in New York. So fucking climate change is real. They've been lying about this the whole time. That's number one. Number two is trickle-down economics. They are still saying that trickle-down economics is the move. They are still saying that cutting taxes for the rich is going to trickle down to the rest of us. But we can all see that everybody that we know is struggling financially. And the rich have never been richer. They all have fucking a dozen golden mega yachts. Sorry, still having connection issues over on TikTok. Sorry, connection issues on TikTok, everybody. Yeah, the rich have never been richer. The gap between the rich and the poor has never been greater. It's worse now than it was during the fucking Gilded Age, which was an age named after how bad income inequality was back then. So yeah, trickle-down economics ain't working, man. It ain't trickling down. But they're still saying it. They're still like, the rich just need a little bit more money. Just need a little bit more money, and then they'll finally start trickling down to the rest of us, man. 100% fucking bullshit. Unbelievable bullshit. So yeah, that's my shorthand for who is the liars and who is not the liars, in addition to, reading the news and being a regularly informed person. But, I'm a stand-up comedian. I have plenty of time to dig into the news. Not everybody has the ability to, go as deep as somebody with as much free time as I do. Matt MCA says, do you think the mayor in New York should be fired? 100%. He should be in jail. Let's see here. Kitty Roostaller says, climate change has always been real. We have exasperated it with carbon emissions. I don't know what you're trying to say, Kitty, that climate change has existed throughout the history of the globe, and that it's just been made a little bit worse by carbon emissions. That sounds like patting down the right-wing position on this as not being just the lobbying arm of the fossil fuel industry. Patrick Kelly says, thoughts on Nancy Pelosi's salary per year versus how much she makes. Okay, so a couple of things about that. Number one, the right likes to talk about Nancy Pelosi as evidence that the Democrats are rich and corrupt, as though there are not richer people on the Republican side of things. They use Nancy Pelosi because she's an easy target. You know, she's been in government for a really long time. She's got a lot of money. I think her husband is wealthy. I think like that's where most of their money comes from. But also she's been in government for so long and she was in a leadership position, so she can get paid a ton of money for writing a book or doing speaking engagements or stuff like that. Additionally, everybody in the government does insider trading. And that's not Nancy Pelosi exclusively. That's fucking Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley and Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And if you want to get rid of that, the Democrats are the only one who have a bill to get rid of that. But the right like to point at Nancy Pelosi because she went out there and she said that she didn't think it was a problem that people in government did insider trading. You know, I don't think what she did was right. But again, she is not the problem. It's Republicans that are the problem because they're stopping there being a law that says that people in government can't do insider trading. If it was only Democrats in government, we could get rid of insider trading tomorrow, guys. Let's see here. Mystic3777 says, Democrats need to win the special elections coming up, 2 in Florida and 1 seat in New York. Yes, Mystic, let's all do the work of getting those people elected. Make your phone calls. Do your volunteer shifts with the, with those campaigns, guys. Don Gordo Cabeza says, are these lives archived and or reposted somewhere? Yeah, I think they're kept on YouTube. I what do you call it? I simulcast on YouTube and Twitch, and so I think Twitch keeps them for like 3 days or a week or something, and on YouTube they probably stay for a long time. I don't know. Ellie says, this is one-sided politics. No, thank you. All right, Ellie. First of all, it's not, but second of all, you don't have to be here. Noicha Gamer says, why do the Democrats not talk about it? Strange, isn't it? Not talk about what, Noicha? Almost all the time when people say, why aren't Democrats talking about this? They do talk about this, and just nobody listens to them. Let's see here. New Silesia Design says, I'm a Democrat. Her husband is in finance, I'm pretty sure. She's part of the problem, but you're right. Yes, I agree. I do not like the centrist old wing of the Democratic Party, but we have to be real. They are better than the Republican Party still, because their platform is better still. And if we lump all the politicians together, there are better Democratic politicians than there are Republican politicians, and there are more shitty Republican politicians than there are shitty Democratic politicians. Jim S. Grandy says, Democrats are not ready to pass legislation about insider trading, but they're the only ones who have a bill about insider trading. So I don't know what you're talking about, man. Brandon Hart says, how do you feel about tariffs as a bargaining chip? I mean, if that's what Trump is doing, it's not working because he literally got nothing out of Canada and Mexico that they hadn't already agreed to. Let's see here. John Williams says, that is a complete lie and you were kidding yourself. What is? I don't lie, so I don't know what you're talking about. Bobo Kitty says, what do you think about those 14 flags that were posted by Elon Musk? It's a dog whistle, you know? It's all, wink, wink, nod, nod to all of his schmatzy friends. And then everybody gets to fight about, oh, is he doing schnatzy things? Is he not doing schnatzy things? He fucking is, guys. He fucking is. Let's see here. Sweetest Cleta says, most of her net worth is in her house. She bought like 30 years ago. They like to act like she's loaded. Yeah, there's another one there. Alrighty, let's see here. All right. All right. Dr. Warhammer says, do you ever think about why politics as Homo sapiens exists physiologically wise? I think that people have different ideas about how to govern large groups of people, but I also think that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So at the exact same time as you have people who have good faith arguments about the best way for us to govern, millions or billions of people, you also have people who recognize that if we just tinker with the system a little bit, then I can make a lot of money and I can get a lot of power. And so we have to balance those out, And I think the Democratic Party for a long time was getting fooled that the Republican Party was acting in good faith when all they were doing was trying to accumulate as much money and power as they need to. Trin Daleen says, need 3-minute videos to share with your logical, succinct content. 3-minute videos to share with your logical, succinct content. What would you like me to do a video about that is 3 minutes long, Trin? You let me know. Tell me that you are going to champion sharing that video so it gets millions of views, and I will make it. Brandon, will you admit the Liberal Dems ran a horrible campaign and it wasn't anyone's fault but their own? No, I will not admit that, Brandon. In fact, I think that is 100% false. I think the big mistake that happened during the 2024 campaign was that Biden decided to run for a second term. If we had had a primary, then we would have given a candidate a long enough time to actually mount a substantial campaign. But the fact of the matter is, Harris had 100 days to mount her presidential campaign, and we know that it's working because she did better in the states where she was campaigning than even in deep blue states like California and New York. So yes, she did not have enough runway, but her campaign was good. In fact, I think it was very good. And everything that people say, but they didn't say this, but they didn't say this, like I saw them talk about that. It just either didn't get covered or it got drowned out in social media. Yeah, man, here's the reason why Democrats lost in 2024. There was an incumbency bias. People were mad at whoever was in charge because prices were up. And it wasn't just here in America. Every incumbent felt election consequences this whole around the globe in 2024, but also misinformation and propaganda that was perpetrated on social media. If people follow the news, they vote for Democrats by a factor of like 80 to 20. But that is not the majority of Americans, so the voters that we needed to get their news off of social media. And social media is the fucking Wild West. If you have a lot of money, power, and influence, you can manipulate social media algorithms to push whatever narratives that you want. And the people that had a lot of money and power, like Elon Musk, were using their power to spread narratives that specifically hurt Democratic candidates. And whether or not it was something completely bullshit like both parties are the same, voting doesn't do anything, the Democrats are shills, blah, blah, blah. Or it was like a good faith criticism like Biden's, policy towards Palestine, but then that just got weaponized into ignoring the fact that the Republican Party and Trump was still worse. And we're seeing that play out now, where Trump is actively calling for the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. So all of these narratives are getting pushed. And it's all a big soup of different narratives. So if you don't buy the narrative that the Republican Party is better, maybe you'll buy the narrative that voting doesn't do anything. And if you don't buy the voting doesn't do anything narrative, then maybe you'll buy the if you vote, you're complicit in a corrupt system narrative. Maybe you'll buy the if you don't vote, you'll send a message to the political parties that we want them to be better. If you don't vote, then, or you'll buy the narrative that Trump would be better for Gaza because we need to send a message to the Democratic Party that we're not going to put up with their fucking bullshit anymore. So yeah, they throw all this bullshit at you to get you to not vote or to get to vote for Republicans. That is what happened. And if you look at the polling data, the exit poll data from the swing states, you will see that a majority of people in those states believed untrue things about the Harris campaign. They did not know what her platform was because this misinformation was rampant and extremely effective. And it's very insidious. Like, we can all look at Ben Shapiro and be like, that's fucking bullshit. That's fucking right-wing propaganda. But if you have somebody on there who claims to be a leftist and all their videos are about good progressive things, telling you don't vote for one reason or another, or vote for Trump because it would be better for this issue or whatever, then you're going to buy that, Additionally, you had people like fucking Elon Musk bribing people with $1 million lottery a day to register to vote if you're a Republican. And also they were sending out mailers to people that said they were from the Harris campaign with fake campaign promises on them to try to convince people of wrong things. So that's the reason why Democrats did bad. It was not because they ran a poor campaign. And honestly, I'm fucking tired of us demanding perfection from the Democratic Party because it's impossible. Because we are a diverse and weird coalition of people here in America. And so a politician is not going to mirror your beliefs specifically. But that's another propaganda narrative that's been spread by the rich and powerful, that if a politician doesn't match your ideology perfectly, then you shouldn't vote at all. You should wait for a candidate that is perfect, that aligns with you specifically. You forget that these people like them. People really liked Joe Biden. I had my issues with him, but he did a lot of great stuff. But the reason why he won the primary in 2020 was because a lot of people voted for him. The reason why Hillary Clinton won the primary in 2016 was because a lot of people voted for her. And so these are not the candidates that I prefer, but they are better. And better is better, and worse is worse. I want to tattoo that on everybody's fucking brain that tells me both parties are the same, or the lesser of two evils is still evil. I'd be like, yeah, well, better is better and worse is worse. And better is worse. Better is better than worse. Alrighty, so we're at about an hour. I'm going to do my outro, but I always do final questions after my outro, so stick around, please. I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you guys for all your comments and all your questions and all your likes and your shares and your gifts. I appreciate any support that you guys can give me because your support makes it possible for me to continue doing these live streams, and these live streams are my favorite thing that I do. And that is the free kind of support, like likes and shares and telling your friends how great my live streams are and telling everybody, oh my God, Jarrett Berenstein is the best guy to talk about politics and everybody should listen to that guy because he's fucking incredible and he's a genius and he's so fucking hot. Or if you can afford to do the financial kind of support, there are ways to do that kind of support too. I have a Patreon that you can find on my website, jaredbranson.com. I got exactly one patron right now, who I'm very proud of. You're the best. And also, I have a store that you can buy things at, jaredbranson.com/store. And also, you can send gifts on TikTok and Twitch. But we're all suffering through a cost of living crisis, so I am not going to throw shade at anybody for not being able to throw a couple of coins or dollars my way. If you have any questions that I was not able to get to on this live stream, my DMs are open. The best way to get in touch with me, though, is to email me through my website. That is the quickest way that I'm able to respond to people. My website, again, jaredbranstein.com. My streaming schedule is usually Tuesday through Friday, starting at around 11:30 a.m. I often start early because I love doing these, and I often augment that with a Monday, again, because I love doing these. However, I'm going on stand-up tour next week, so my schedule is going to be much more sporadic and up in the air. So hopefully you guys will be able to catch me when I pop on as I am driving all over the country doing my stand-up dates. If you want to come see me do stand-up, my schedule is also on my website, jaredbranson.com, and I try to update my streaming schedule there as well. But again, when I'm traveling for work, for stand-up, I am often not able to get to it. And lastly, just my heartfelt plea for everybody to do the work. You know, we should all, if we all work together, then we can fucking stop this shit from happening. And I am terrified about what it is going to look like when the Trump and Musk team continue to gut the government of the services that we rely on. You know, the government, we think about it like this thing that just like eats all our tax money and doesn't do anything for us. But I think that we will all be shocked to learn what the government does for us when these things start going away. And we are really going to miss them. I am already missing a bunch of air traffic controllers that should be working and making sure that I land safely at all my destinations as I fly for work. I got 3 flights coming up. Fucking wish me luck, everybody. So yeah, just do the work, everybody. Just do the work. There are great organizations out there already doing the work. Run for something, Indivisible, Vote Save America, join them. But if you don't want to do that, just talk to people. Talk to people in real life. Talk to your friends, your family, your coworkers, your neighbors. Talking to people that already know you a little bit has a lot more juice than me, a stranger, canvassing the neighborhood and talking to a bunch of strangers, you know? Which I still do, guys, because again, I'm doing the work, you know? I'm out there with my whole ass doing the fucking work, man. Join me, please. Come help. Come help me so I don't have to do it all by myself. If we all do a little bit of work, then nobody has to do a lot of work. The way that we get through this is by taking care of each other and all doing the work. All right, let's get to some more of these comments here. Dude says, thanks, Elon Musk, and thank you for letting me block you. All right, let's see here. Jim S. Grady, you still have not told me what I was wrong about, Jim S. Grady. And if you keep on spamming the comments with that nonsense, then you are out of here. This guy says, thank you, Mr. President. Again, that is a block because I don't care if you have different opinions than me, but actually post a question. Don't just spam or call me a cuck. Let's see here. The Beagles that own us says, I talk, but it's like talking to a rock. Well, you got to be cool. You know, like you can't be a finger wagging liberal. You have to start with what you can agree on. You know, even if you have to go back as far as, isn't it weird that we have different ideas of what's going on in the world just based on where we get our news? And then you can maybe build some sort of understanding from there. You don't have to take somebody from a hard right MAGA to an AOC Democrat. All you got to do is a little. You got to do a little bit of work. You got to push just to touch them a little bit. When I was canvassing for the 2024 election, they had me in a deep red district. And I was like, you know what? I know I'm probably not going to change any hearts and minds today. But all I want these people to leave with is that I'm a Democrat and I'm advocating for Democratic candidates, but also I'm a nice person. I'm nice. I'm cool. I'm not a jerk, you know? And then maybe it'll expand their idea of what a Democrat is. Connie Bailey says, I like your live. I post anti-Trump constantly. That's great, Connie Bailey. I appreciate that. But posting ain't going to do it, Connie. You got to do shit in real life. Let's see here. I want a new timeline. It says, tell me your knowledge on Peter Thiel and Curtis Yarvin. I don't have a ton of information. It all kind of blends together. Like all the fucking tech oligarchs, billionaire pieces of shit all kind of like blend together for me. So yeah, I couldn't speak too specifically about that. User Whole Bunch of Numbers says, I'm concerned about Social Security. Your thoughts? Do you think Musk will destroy it? Yes. Yes, I do. To varying levels of, success. They are going to cut it. They are going to gut it. They are going to eliminate it entirely. It's something that they want to do. It's going to be worse or less or non-existent because that's what Republicans want, and they're in full control of the government. Cameron Hodge says, Trump won the popular vote. It will be hard. We are outnumbered in people and money. Thoughts? We are not outnumbered in people. Only 23% of this country voted for Donald Trump, and not all of those people are happy with the work that he is doing. There are 85 million people in this country who did not vote in the last election. That is more people that voted for Donald Trump. 85 million people did not vote in this country. And listen, you can call me a fucking, rose-tinted glasses wearing optimist, but I think if all of those people voted, we would have a vastly better country. And I have no evidence to support that because that's literally never happened. But here's the thing. The highest voter turnout we've had in this country since we've been recording it was in 2020. The first president since 1975 to get more votes than people who did not vote was Joseph Biden in 2020. And look what happened in that election. Democrats had the House, they had the Senate, and they had the White House. They only had it for, 2 years, and we had to deal with Sinema and Manchin, but we had it, and it's because people voted. It's because people did the work. So there you go. We are not outnumbered. That is the one thing that is the one advantage that we have, and it is a massive advantage because we outnumber them by a lot. Let's see here. Jakey Pars says 2020 was stolen. No, it wasn't. All right. Let's see here. The Beagles That Own Us says, why are Democrats so bad at messaging? The Democrats aren't bad at messaging. They are the victim of a information environment that has been weaponized against them. And this goes back all the way to, the 1980s, maybe? I first became aware of this in the 90s during the Bush-Gore campaigning, when every negative article that came out was about Al Gore, even though, George W. Bush was out there saying the dumbest shit that's ever come to mind. Al Gore went out there and rightly said that he was responsible for the funding that created the internet. And then the world said, Al Gore said he invented the internet, and they were making fun of him constantly. There were way more negative stories about Hillary Clinton than there were about Donald Trump. The media environment has and is still been weaponized against the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party is a rainbow coalition. So it's really easy to fracture it. You got the far left side of the party, you got the centrist party, you got the LGBTQ wing, you got the African American wing, you got the Latino wing, and it's really easy to throw wedges in there. And that's what they do. That's what they do. They make it seem like Democrats are feckless, but instead they have been playing a game that is rigged against them. The Electoral College, gerrymandering, the Senate map, all makes it easier for Republicans to win elections than Democrats. The fact that the Republican Party is much more of a monolith than the Democratic Party makes it easier for them to coalesce around a message and win elections. The fact that the Democratic platform is to try to fix things and do things and help people, as opposed to the Republican platform, which is to break things and not do things and hurt people, because the Republican Party wants you to believe that government is bad. So when they get elected, they are incentivized to not do things and break things and hurt people so they can show you, see, look how bad the government is. It did all this bad shit. Look at that. Meanwhile, they're in charge. They're the ones that are fucking doing it. It's a lot easier to not do things and break things than it is to do things and fix things. And they have a lot more money. Again, they have a lot more money. The Republican Party is able to put these narratives out there in order to hurt the Democratic Party and de-incentivize people from voting at all. So there you go. Jim S. Grandy says, so now the Electoral College is a problem. It's been a problem for a long time, Jim, and you have shown your true colors, so you are out of here. Alrighty, Jim S. Grandy, the Democrats outspent Republicans during the last election. That is completely inaccurate. I'm really glad I blocked you. Lowercase J says, what are your thoughts on Chad Bianco running for California governor? I don't know who that is, lowercase J, so sorry. Let's see here. J-Pot says, Democrats are so inclusive that it becomes exclusive. I don't know what you mean by that, J-Pot. But here's the other thing, is that you can't believe... When I am railing against the Republican Party and saying good things about the Democratic Party, I'm talking about the politicians. I don't give a shit about the culture of the voters. If some liberal made you cry because they said that you weren't progressive enough, then I don't care, my man. That's still not a reason to vote for Donald Trump. It's still not a reason to fucking condemn marginalized groups like gay people and trans kids and fucking people of color to living under the yoke of an authoritarian government that doesn't give a shit about them and is cutting services that directly hurt them and everybody that they care about. I don't fucking care. For the same reason that I don't give a shit if a fucking MAGA person calls me a cuck. I don't care. That doesn't change my opinion of the politicians on the right. You have to ignore these people on the internet because they could not even be real. They could be completely fake, fictionalized people. If you're telling me I'm a rich billionaire, I'm a rich asshole, if you're telling me that I can get more Republican voters by creating bots that are quote unquote liberals, like lefty blue haired lady 2017, and I just go on there and I yell at everybody and tell them you're not liberal enough, get out of the Democratic Party, and that's pushing people to vote for Republicans, you think I'm not going to use all my money to create all this fucking bot accounts and just create the most fucking annoying piece of shit liberals possible to convince people that liberal culture is this thing that it's actually not? You know, there's a Christian philosopher who says, whenever I talk to atheists, I am convinced that we both don't believe in the same God. And when people talk to me about how annoying liberals are, I'm like, yeah, that is annoying. But me and everybody that I know are fucking lefties. And I don't see any of that shit when I'm out hanging out with people, you know? Yes, that's anecdotal data. But again, the internet is not a real thing, guys. And so when you are talking about what is better, left-wing policies or right-wing policies, don't talk about the fucking annoying person that you saw on the internet. Talk about what the politicians themselves are actually fucking doing. And I'm not here fucking throwing stones at the Republican voters. Yeah, I'm annoyed that they got conned. But again, they don't have a monopoly on getting conned. There are plenty of left-wing voters who got conned into not voting in the 2024 election. So yeah, I think they voted the wrong way. But I'm not out here saying that they're a bad person. I don't make any videos anymore, you know, calling right-wingers dumb or shit like that, because those are the 99% along with me. And that's what they want. They want us to be fighting amongst ourselves. They want us to think that our enemies are the other party. If you're a left-wing person, the internet and the algorithms and the rich assholes and the Republicans, they want you to think that your enemies are right-wing voters or people in your own party. Like if you're a left-wing person, then your enemy is the centrist. If you're centrist, then your enemy is the left-wing, is the far left-winger, you know? If you're a Republican, the rich assholes want you to believe that your enemy is the left-wing voters, or immigrants, or trans kids, or people of color, or the poor. And it's not, guys. It's not. It is the billionaire class and the Republican politicians that are in league with them. You know, you can throw me as many fucking Joe Manchins and Nancy Pelosi's that you want. The platform of the Republican Party is pro-billionaire, and the platform of the Democratic Party is pro-working class. So there you go, guys. All right, that seems like a really good rant to end on. I will see you guys tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have an excellent rest of your Tuesday, everybody. Stay safe out there. Do the work with me so I'm not out there doing it by myself, all right? Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.